When you drive east out of Malone on Route 11, you can't miss this very pink 1950s-era diner on the right-hand side. It's called Bokie's, and it is arguably the westernmost manifestation of the Michigan hot dog. It's also got great poutine, they actually pronounce it right, and lots of good ice cream and great vibes. We step inside to sample Bokie's vibes on today's Story of the Day.
Support for Story of the Day comes from Clarkson University, offering over 95 programs of study with campuses in the Hudson Valley, Central, and Northern New York. More at clarkson.edu.
Hey, I'm David Sommerstein. It's Friday, August 4th. First up, the part-time emergency room at the Lake Placid Health and Medical Fitness Center will close on August 20th. Owner Adirondack Health had submitted a closing plan for the ER to the State Department of Health last fall. The Adirondack Daily Enterprise reports that the organization received authorization to move forward late last week.
But to some extent, some community members kind of suspected this thing would happen for years.
Enterprise managing editor Elizabeth Izzo, who's been reporting on the closure, says the Lake Placid ER used to be open 24 hours a day. That was decreased to 15 hours several years ago and later to 12 due to low patient volumes. Izzo told Champlain Valley reporter Kara Chapman that like other rural healthcare networks, Adirondack Health is paring down services in the face of mounting financial challenges.
They had a shortfall of more than $14 million in 2022. The Lake Placid Emergency Room accounted for around $2.2 million of that shortfall.
Right. And, what alternatives will people have now for emergency care in Lake Placid?
Yeah, so in Lake Placid, it'll now take roughly a 12 to 15-minute drive to Saranac Lake's Adirondack Medical Center for emergency care. That's about 10 miles away. Though to be clear, depending on the severity of a person's injury, a patient at Lake Placid's ER may have already been transferred to AMC or to the University of Vermont Medical Center in Burlington anyway. But where we're seeing more people kind of being more heavily impacted by this is in places like Wilmington. They have a longer drive now to get emergency care. So emergency services squads will have to now drive anywhere from like 20 to 30 minutes from Wilmington to Lake Placid to now add an additional 10 miles to that to go to Saranac Lake, or they might have to go to Elizabethtown, depending on the patient.
What are you hearing from the community and local leaders about what they think of the ER closure?
One of the most vocal opponents to the Lake Placid ER closure plan was Wilmington Town Supervisor Roy Holzer. Roy Holzer was really hoping that the state health department would come back to Adirondack Health and suggest that they try something else rather than close the Lake Placid ER. And he also mentioned that with the state pouring hundreds of millions of dollars into renovating the region's Olympic and winter sports venues, including Whiteface, which is in Wilmington, he felt the state could have extended a financial lifeline to Adirondack Health to keep the Lake Placid emergency room open. In Lake Placid, the reaction is different. Obviously, the distance to Saranac Lake is much shorter. So the mayor of Lake Placid, Art Devlin, and the North Elba town supervisor, Derek Doty, both see this as necessary to make sure that the main hospital, Adirondack Medical Center in Saranac Lake, survives.
That was Adirondack Daily Enterprise managing editor Elizabeth Izzo speaking with Champlain Valley reporter Kara Chapman. Bokie's is a place to see and be seen in Malone. And for high school students in the area, it's also an iconic place to get a summer job. Our intern Maya Mackey was one of those students, and she takes us inside Bokie's with this story.
Bokie's is decked out in pink striped wallpaper with pictures of Elvis Presley and Marilyn Monroe. In the back corner, a group of teenagers are eating an order of poutine. They're giggling and taking pictures of each other. Across the dining room, an older couple is sharing a root beer float and eating fish sandwiches. It smells like grease and buttery popcorn. Carrie Marshall Boulay, the owner of Bokie's Drive-In, bounces around the restaurant, taking orders and talking with customers.
Most days we're pretty busy. It's a little bit of a sensory overload when you come inside, right, Maya?
Yeah, definitely.
This is not the place to go if you want a quiet dining experience.
Right, you're right. Yeah,
but I think we know that.
Boulay has owned Bokie since 2011. She's been working in restaurants since she was a teenager. She says that she made it into the food service business not too long after Bokie's was listed for sale. Her father, Brick Marshall, was the real estate broker who listed the building. Boulay says the restaurant is named after a man named Steve, nicknamed Bokie, Richards, who ran it in the 1980s. Since then, she's turned Bokie's into one of the most popular restaurants in Malone.
Every day has a variety. You know, I never kind of know what's coming at me every day.
One thing I've noticed while working at Bokie's is that most of my coworkers were young adults. Boulay says they're her favorite part of the job.
But I do enjoy having, kind of meeting new people every year and kind of employing people. We're up to 42 employees this year. I'm happy to be able to do that because we obviously run on a lot of young people here. Not everybody, but a lot of young people. And there's very few places where high school students can work around here.
Plus, she says it's rewarding to get to see what they do after their time at Bokie's.
All my younger employees that I hire, most of them stay on for years, and then they do things where they go to college, or I went to one of their weddings on Saturday, or sometimes they come in and interview me for the radio that they're working for.
One of my coworkers, Alexandra McKellar-Jones, is working the ice cream counter at the front of the restaurant. She's been working here since she was 16. She's now 23 and a teacher at Chateauguay Central. McKellar-Jones says Bokie's is a place where everybody goes, across generations.
We've got an older population, and it's nostalgic for a lot of people. They like to bring their kids and grandkids in.
Boulay agrees that Bokie's is special. Her restaurant is just as much a teenage hangout as it is the preferred lunch spot for older folks who just want a malt shake made the old-fashioned way.
It's a place for kind of all ages, but I think it's for young and old and everybody in between. There's something here for everybody.
I caught up with one of my old coworkers, Carson Hanna, on the phone later. He says because of his job at Bokie's, it's a lot easier for him to talk to people he doesn't know. Plus, he's become close friends with our coworkers.
I think that's really great when you can just get along with people. You know what I mean? You're not like dreading coming into work because of the environment.
Hannah says that Bokie's does more than bring in business from all over town, though. It unifies the community of Malone. As he tells it, Bokie's is a space where all sorts of people get along, no matter who they are.
It's a locally owned business, and it's not one of these like big food chains. This is something that is unique to Malone because there's no Bokie's anywhere else in the world. There might be restaurants that are somewhat like it, but I really don't think there's any other place like it. And I think it's grown so much because of the community.
Boulay pours some butter into the popcorn machine. She says she still wants to see Bokie's continue to grow.
I would like my own ice cream making area. I would also like an ice cream truck.
Oh, that'd be so cool. Could you imagine?
It's kind of in my want list
cool.
as well.
Yeah, that'd be kind of cool.
In the meantime, she plans to sell lots of ice cream and pay it forward to the community she serves. Maya Mackey, North Country Public Radio, Malone.
Big thanks to our summer interns, St. Lawrence University students Maya Mackey and graduated student Kelly Daphnis for their work this summer. Now they're off to great things. We have more news all the time and through the weekend on our website, ncpr.org. Music today by famous letter writer of Plattsburgh and Oscar Sarmiento of Potsdam. Have a great weekend. I'm David Sommerstein, North Country Public Radio.